Hi, I'm the Game Design Dad. Let's talk about progression. Adding progression to a game isn't technically necessary, but variety is what makes it fun. Players don't want to do the same thing over and over. They want the third time to be slightly different than the first, and the 30th to be even more different. Progression systems organize that variety into something that makes sense. Personal growth is a popular way to mix things up. When the character learns a new ability, the player gets a new toy to play with. Players love new toys. And spreading out character abilities over the course of the game has the advantage of spreading out the tutorial across the game. Teaching the player 10 different things they can do at the start would be overwhelming. But starting with just a few things and then adding new weapons or spells or powers every few levels gives each time to shine. Linking the player's power fantasy directly into the level design works. If you're making the sort of game where you can break out abilities over time like this, there's usually no reason not to. It's fun and everyone loves it. Another way to get variety into your game is to make numbers go up. This is usually very easy to do, as computers love to make numbers go up, but can lead to very boring game designs. If all the numbers go up in the same way, then the player's experience doesn't really change. In order to make stat progression interesting, the numbers need to change in ways that lead to meaningful changes in the player's core game loop. So if some numbers go up at different rates, either automatically or based on player choices, that can lead to new states for the system that run the core game loop, and that can be meaningful and interesting. But that doesn't come for free. The game designer has to set up these combinations to be interesting and make sure that either all choices lead to interesting states, or there are multiple interesting states that the player can choose between, and that can be hard to set up. Saying that you have level progression isn't really saying much. It's really just saying that you'll give the player diverse experiences and package them up into discrete units. Levels usually mix in the other types of progression, stats, stories, character abilities, and all that. So the levels themselves are just the content changes that provide fresh sights and places and things to encounter along the way. That said, thinking about how you want to organize your content and pace it and place it into the levels is important. The organization itself matters. You want players to understand how much content there is and how often it'll change and where the important beats will come. Levels organize the pace for the player, so they're important even outside all of the other systems at play. Story is a great way to organize your content and provide variety. Players love variety that comes with emotional meaning attached, so any of the other progression types are enhanced by narrative. It's usually best to develop your story concepts in parallel with your gameplay and let them feed off each other. You don't want to write your whole story first and have to follow an exact set of story beats, as that can constrain the needs of gameplay progression. Similarly, you don't want to slap a story onto a mostly finished set of game levels, as then the story will lack any emotional connection. Good story is built as part of the gameplay and flows from the choices the player is making in the core gameplay loop. Board games often lack the sort of progression that video games have. There aren't a sequence of levels that the player plays over multiple sessions. Instead, the player plays the same content and rules multiple times. This can be challenging to keep fresh and provide the same sort of variety that people expect from video games, but it can be done. Varying the content directly with lots of randomness and different pieces and parts is part of the solution. But the other part of the solution is systems with depth. A game like chess doesn't have a lot of content, but is still engaging for a long time. The progression in a game like that doesn't come from encountering new things. It comes from encountering new ideas. The player is exploring the possibility space within the complex systems of the game, and that keeps them coming back over time. Building a game with deep systems that the player can't experience in a single session can be hard, but pays off when players realize how much there is to learn and understand. Keeping players interested over time can be challenging, but it's an important part of a game designer's job. Different games use different mixes of content and systematic depth to reach that goal. So think about the feel you want for your game and the systems you want for your vision.